Hey gang, Xavier here for Hum at the Earth, signing in from a kind of gloomy day here in Yambol, Bulgaria, a small city of 75,000 in southeastern Bulgaria. I say it's a gloomy day because the country has declared a state of emergency because of the coronavirus, which means that all public gatherings have been mandated to stop. So all restaurants, cafe, bars, and anything where people will be gathering and hanging out in the same area are currently not allowed. But the Hum at the Earth goes on. Yambol seems to have a lot of these kind of gray block Soviet style apartments, because Bulgaria was once part of the Soviet Union. So these may have been built during that time. Definitely looks that way. But Yambol's history goes back quite a bit further than that. 10 kilometers north of the city are the Kabyl ruins. Kabyl was once an important city for the Thracian Empire, a notoriously drunk empire that once ruled over this part of the world. Until they were conquered by the Romans. Well, actually, to be precise, by the Greeks a little bit before that. And then they regained it, and then by the Romans, who had significant military positions in the area. Until it was then conquered by the First Bulgarian Empire. And the city has played an important role ever since. In the late 1300s, the Ottoman Empire conquered the area, and many people were converted to Islam, but not everybody. Fun fact, in Bulgaria, when you want to say yes, you actually shake your head like this. And if you want to say no, you go like this. Which is the opposite of how it is in most places. And this is because when the Ottoman Empire was conquering the area, this is an Ottoman building here that is now a cultural center. People would be lined up and asked if they would convert to Islam. and if you did not, you'd be executed. So what people would do is when they were asked if they would convert to Islam, they would do this, saying yes. But the Bulgarians agreed with each other that they would switch the meaning from nodding to meaning no. So they were kind of covertly denying that they would convert, and that's why even up until this day that the head nod and the head shake are reversed in meaning. Some traditional Bulgarian costumes right here, or artistic renditions of them rather. During the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 and 1878, the Eski Mosque, which we're looking at right now, was kind of converted into a warehouse, giving clothes and flour to the people who needed it. And then after Bulgaria's liberation from the Ottoman Empire, the mosque was converted into a Catholic church. But since then, it's gone out of use and is now considered a cultural monument. During the Balkan Wars, Yambol was the headquarters of the first Bulgarian army, which had success in defeating the Turks in the region of Thrace. And one of the city's main attractions is the Museum of Military Glory, which I am hoping will be open. It is in fact open. So here we have the firepower that the first Bulgarian army had. From the looks of it, it looks like this is actually where the headquarters were. Probably barracks here. It says here that this plane was from the USSR and used by the Bulgarian army. Some older planes here. Big old missile. So something people might not know is that Bulgaria was once considered an empire. If you remember, or if you've been following from videos from like Serbia and Macedonia, those countries were once part, or were under the authority of the Bulgarian Empire. It's pretty cool to get to see what kind of machinery that empire was using at the time. Pretty interesting. High-speed trench digging machine. I guess back when trench warfare was a thing. The old barracks aren't what they used to be, but they still have a guard dog protecting them. Looks like this may have been some kind of training ground or something. So the tanks of this museum have an interesting history. When the Bulgarian tanks would be considered too old or broken, they were actually used along the Turkish border as a kind of wall or defense, being partially buried. And then when they were no longer needed as a wall, the Bulgarian government decided that they would auction them off to the highest bidder to make a bit of cash. And there were, in fact, buyers, history buffs and etc., who were excited for this auction. I mean, who wouldn't want an old rusty tank in their backyard? But before the auction ever took place, the government changed their minds and decided to give the tanks a new coat of paint and to display them here in the Yambol Museum of Military Glory. And thankfully, that is where they will remain, since Bulgaria is no longer in a state of war. But despite the fact that there's no longer a war in Bulgaria, things aren't exactly peaches and cream. Because of economic stagnation, the country's population has been declining. And the same has happened to the city of Yambol. In the 80s, it had a population of 90,000, and now that population is 75,000. Despite the fact that it's kind of the only or the biggest city in the area, which naturally or usually is a factor for increased population growth. Given that it's kind of the administrative center as well as the commercial center of the area, which the principal industry is agriculture. So I hope you enjoyed this tour in history of the city of Yambol in southeastern Bulgaria. Next up on the channel, I'll be heading towards the Black Sea coast of Bulgaria. Journey I'll be doing via bicycle. Where I'll be checking out the city of Bokas, the historical town of Nesenbar, etc. I was in Bulgaria as part of a larger adventure, bicycling around the world. Before coming to Bulgaria, I was in Turkey. Before that, Central Europe. And before that, I bicycled from Cape Town, South Africa to Nairobi, Kenya. And to begin the journey, I bicycled from Canada, where I'm from, all the way down to southern Patagonia in Chile and Argentina. And all of those videos from those adventures are available on this same YouTube channel, Hum of the Earth. And if you'd like to see an interactive map of everywhere that I went and everything that I got to see and do, that is available over on my website, followthehumoftheearth.com, where you can click on the different locations and see the various blog posts and videos that I've made of these places. If you'd like to follow my continuing adventures, next up bicycling through Bulgaria and Eastern Europe, you can do so by clicking on the red subscribe button below the video and clicking on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one.